Homecoming and unusual silence. I-85 was full of cars returning home when Malik Johnson took the exit for the old 4th Ward. The red lights of the brakes looked like an endless river of liquid rubies flickering against the orange evening sky. It had been such a brutal week that I couldn't even remember what it felt like to eat something hot without a screen in front of me. He was working as a senior analyst at a midtown tech company, and in the last 3 months he had been promoted. Without raising his salary, of course. More meetings, more load, more stress. But Malik accepted everything without complaint because he had a plan, the biggest surprise he had ever prepared. That same afternoon, he had signed the contract for the electric car that Aisha had been dreaming of for 3 years, a graphite gray Tesla Model Y, with beige interiors, just his favorite colors. He had worked like crazy to achieve it. Extra shifts, weekends, evening courses. This purchase was a symbol, a "we are doing it," all this effort makes sense. But now, as he climbed the silent street where they lived, a strange feeling began to settle in his chest. The house was perfectly lit from the outside, but without any sound. Neither the television, nor his usual laughter, nor the murmur of the music he always left on. Nothing. Malik parked slowly in front of the small garden. He noticed that Aisha's bike, which she always left lying in the driveway, was missing. Nor did his yellow jacket on the interior coat rack, visible from the window. He frowned. He'll be in the bathroom, he thought, or she must have fallen asleep on the couch. He took the briefcase, locked the car, and walked to the door. When he opened it, the familiar smell of vanilla and cotton flower greeted him, but mixed with a strange aroma, that cold smell of an empty house, a palpable emptiness. "Aisha," he called quietly, "I'm already home." Nothing. He walked down the hallway, feeling the wood creak softly under his shoes. He passed by the mirror and saw his own reflection, tired, haggard, but with that glow of emotion that he still kept from the surprise he was planning. When he entered the room, he saw her, standing without moving, looking out the window at the street as if waiting for a car that should not arrive. Her silhouette, silhouetted by the dim light, looked like a sad photograph. Aisha was a woman of serene beauty, dark skin, curly hair that she normally wore down. But that night, her hair was tied back too tightly, as if she had tried to control something that was escaping her inside. "Aisha," Malik repeated, this time more serious. She didn't jump. She wasn't startled. He just turned his head slowly. His eyes seemed tired of crying something he didn't know yet. A shadow of sadness, but also of resolve, was drawn on his face. "We need to talk, Malik," he said finally. 3 words capable of freezing any joy. Malik felt the air thicken. Outside, a car drove by with loud music. Inside, silence seemed to hold its breath. "What's wrong?" he asked, putting the briefcase on the sofa. Aisha pursed her lips, looked at the ground, lifted them again, and then Malik's world began to tilt, barely perceptible, like a table beginning to lose balance. Chapter 2. Confession. A needy ex. She walked to the dining room table and leaned on the back of a chair, as if she needed to hold on. Malik approached slowly, trying to read his body language. It wasn't anger, it wasn't tiredness. It was something deeper and dangerous. "I don't want this to sound like an attack," Aisha began, her voice trembling, "but I've been feeling disconnected for months." Malik frowned. "Disconnected? We've had tough weeks, yes, but..." "It's not just that," she interrupted him. "It's all. You are always busy, always stressed, always with your mind on 1,000 things. And His voice broke. Malik took a step towards her, but Aisha raised a hand, asking for distance. "I've been thinking," he continued, "a lot, and I think that we should separate." The word fell like a silent bomb. Malik felt an intense heat rise up his chest, followed by a stabbing chill in his stomach. It was as if the heart and lungs had synchronized to hurt. "Separate?" he repeated, incredulous. "Yes," she whispered. Why? Malik's voice sounded strange, as if it belonged to someone else. Aisha lowered her eyes. Silence. A silence that lasted too long. She swallowed hard, took a deep breath. There is someone else. The phrase paralyzed him. Who? Malik asked, though he sensed the answer. He had seen symptoms, messages she never explained, strange silences, smiles that were not for him. It's Kareem, Aisha said at last. Malik put a hand to his forehead, closing his eyes for a second. Kareem, the ex-boyfriend from college, the same one she had broken up with because he never matured, never evolved, always had an excuse for everything. He's going through a horrible time, he tried to explain. His shop closed. His divorce left him with nothing. He is living in a small, almost empty apartment. You've lost everything, Malik. And you're going to save him? Malik said without needing to think. She stepped forward, desperate to make herself understood. It is not like that. It's just, with him, I feel that I am necessary. He listens to me. He values me. He needs me. With you, I feel that I am an accessory in your life. Something that is there, yes, but not essential. That blow was harder than the confession. Malik rested both hands on the table, trying to process. Aisha, I've worked like never before to give us a better life. This week, he stopped. There was no point in mentioning the car now. You know everything I do for us. Yes, she answered. And I think that's the problem. Your life is us, but I don't know who I am with you anymore. He stared at her. How long have you been seeing him? The question changed the air in the room. Aisha took too long to respond. A couple of months, he said finally. But it's not what you think. I just wanted to help him. First there were messages, then a coffee. Later. Then you began to compare me to him. Malik finished the sentence. She moved closer, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't want it to happen like this. I didn't want to hurt you. But Malik, he needs someone right now. And I also needed to feel that I mattered. Malik felt everything reconfigure inside him. He felt humiliated, yes, but above all, empty. As if someone had suddenly erased the plans of his life. Then you've decided, he said finally, with a calmness he didn't feel. I don't want to hurt you, she whispered. Well, you already did it. Malik took a deep breath, so slowly that it seemed as if the air was resisting entering. Chapter 3, Cold and Split Decision. Malik walked to the home office, opened the drawer where he kept important papers, and pulled out a small notebook. He wrote a name and a number in firm handwriting. Richard Thompson, he said, setting the note down on the living room table. He's my lawyer. On Monday, we started. Aisha stepped forward with her mouth half open, as if what she heard was not real. Malik, what? That's it. Aren't you... To beg, he interrupted. To beg you to stay? No. But I thought you'd try. Save what you have already destroyed? His tone was still calm, but his eyes had a dark glow. No, Aisha, not this time. She began to cry. I didn't expect you to accept it like that. Neither do I, Malik admitted. But here we are. He took his keys, walked to the door. Where are you going? She asked between sobs. To give space to your decision, he replied, without looking at her. Malik, please, don't go like this. That's how you left, he answered, and closed the door. He walked 3 streets aimlessly, letting the fresh evening air clear his mind. He saw lights of other people's houses, laughter of families having dinner, neighbors walking dogs, a normal world that seemed like a joke. He sat for a while on a bench in front of the small neighborhood park. He watched teenagers playing basketball, heard the rhythmic bounce of the ball. One of them, a tall boy in a red shirt, missed a shot and laughed at himself. How easy life was at that age, Malik thought. He looked at his own reflection on the screen of the mobile without unlocking it. What did I do wrong? But he immediately corrected the thought. No. What did she do? When he returned an hour and a half later, the house was different, emptier, colder. The bedroom closet had half the clothes. Bottles of his favorite perfume were missing. The bedside table was almost empty. In the kitchen, he found a note on the counter, the trembling handwriting. He asked for forgiveness. He said he needed clarity, that he would be with Kareem only for a while. Malik read it only once. Then he folded it silently and threw it in the trash can as if burying something dead. He took out his mobile phone and called the dealership. "I'm going to cancel the car order," he said. "Is there a problem, Mr. Johnson?" asked the salesman kindly. Malik looked at the empty house, felt the heavy silence around him. "Yes," he said at last. "Life happens." Colgosy rested on the countertop. He took a deep breath. He felt the weight of loneliness, but also a new space, a space that could become freedom. That night, in bed, on the side he had always occupied, Malik did not cry. He didn't scream. He did not tremble. He just breathed. And that calm, strange, unexpected, almost artificial, marked the beginning of a new life that he did not yet know was being born. Chapter 4. Early Days Alone. The Birth of Peace. The next morning dawned gray with a gentle drizzle hitting the bedroom windows. Malik opened his eyes before the alarm clock rang. He stood motionless, staring at the white ceiling of the room, feeling Aisha's immediate absence like a cold hole in the mattress. But what was surprising was not his absence. It was calm, a strange, delicate calm, as if the house breathed differently without her. He got up slowly, shuffling into the kitchen. He prepared coffee in the style he liked, strong, almost bitter, the one that Aisha always criticized because she said that it smelled like burnt tires. Now that scent filled the air like a silent declaration of independence. As the steam rose from the cup, Malik allowed himself for the first time to think aloud. What now? The question echoed in the empty kitchen without receiving an answer. He spent the morning in absolute silence, just the sound of the wall clock, the rain, and your own footsteps through the house. He walked through each room as if it were the first time he had seen her. In the living room, he found a framed photo, him and Aisha on a trip to New Orleans, smiling in front of a colorful mural. Malik took the frame, stared at it for a long time, and unceremoniously put it in a drawer. It was not hatred, it was the need for air. By mid-morning, the doorbell rang. Malik was a little startled. I wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened the door, he saw Mrs. Hayes, the neighbor at the end of the street, an older woman with dark skin and inquisitive eyes, always wearing a colored scarf on her head. He had a reputation for knowing everything that happened in the neighborhood before it happened. "Good morning, darling," he greeted, pursing his lips. "I saw you arrive late yesterday, and I saw Aisha leave with a suitcase. It's all right?" Malik took a deep breath before answering. "We are separating." The woman's eyes widened. "Oh, son, I am sorry." He paused, lowered his voice. "I didn't want to tell you anything, but I saw her several times get into a gray car. That boy, what's his name? The skinny man with the beard." "Kareem," Malik added emotionlessly. "That same one." Mrs. Hayes sighed. "I didn't want to get involved, but I was worried." Malik thanked. She didn't need morbid details, but those words were like inevitable confirmation. Aisha had been out of marriage for a long time, long before confession. After the visit, Malik decided to go for a walk. The humid air smelled of wet earth and fresh leaves. The streets of the neighborhood were quiet. Dogs barking in the distance, someone mowing lawns, the faint noise of indoor radios. Normal life. He stopped in front of a small park where children were playing on the swings. He sat down on a bench. He observed the scene. A black girl of about 8 years old was trying to push her little brother on a swing. The boy laughed as if there was no problem in the world. His sister, more serious, pushed him with exaggerated care. A father came over. It was Darnell, a neighbor on the parallel street. You see, off. Malik hesitated for a second before saying it. Aisha left. Darnell frowned, put his hand on Malik's shoulder. I'm sorry, really. But listen, you are one of the good ones. If someone leaves, it is because they do not know how to recognize what they have. And that phrase, spoken by a simple man, a warehouse worker with 3 children, touched him deeper than any emotional speech. When he returned home, Malik made himself something he hadn't eaten for months: homemade fried chicken. Aisha didn't like it. He said it was too greasy. But that day, Malik enjoyed it as if it were a forbidden delicacy. In the afternoon, he called the lawyer indicated on the card. Richard Thompson's raspy and firm voice responded with authority. Meet me on Monday at 9 o'clock, and don't worry, this will be quick. Hung. At 11 o'clock at night, Malik was sitting on the sofa, drinking water and listening to the sound of rain hitting the window. The house was silent just as it had been the day before, but now the silence did not hurt him. For the first time in a long time, Malik was able to hear something that had been buried for years, his own inner voice. And that voice told him, maybe this emptiness is the beginning of something you never allowed yourself to have. Chapter 5. The neighbors reveal the truth. Monday came faster than Malik wanted. That morning, the sky was clear and sunlight was streaming in through the window in an almost mocking way, as if the universe wanted to remind him that no matter what, the world keeps turning. Malik turned off the alarm clock early. He dressed in formal clothes, blue shirt, dark pants, well-polished shoes. Not because of Aisha, not by anyone. He did it for himself. Halfway through breakfast, his mobile phone vibrated with an unknown message. Malik, I'm Tiana. I know we don't know each other, but I need to talk to you about Aisha. Please call me. He frowned. Who the hell was Tiana? He decided to ignore it for now. He took his car and drove to downtown Atlanta. Attorney Richard Thompson's building was on Peachtree Street, between coffee shops and corporate offices. When Malik entered the front desk, the secretary, a stocky woman in red-rimmed glasses, greeted him with a professional smile. Mr. Johnson? It can happen. Richard was a large, bald man with a bulldog air that intimidated from the first glance. His office was full of diplomas and photos with judges. Sit down, son, he said bluntly. Tell me exactly what happened. Malik recounted the whole story calmly, even as the pain tightened his chest. Richard listened quietly, taking notes with surgical precision. When Malik finished, the lawyer nodded. This is simple. Leaving home with another person. No children, no complicated shared goods. You'll sign documents today. She will receive the notification in 2 days. He can't get a penny out of you. Malik breathed, feeling for the first time a small relief. Thank you. Don't thank me. Be thankful that she left before leaving you more problems. Richard was right, even if the truth sounded like a slap in the face. In the parking lot on the way to his car, Malik saw a woman leaning against a column. A young woman, light brown skin, hair tied back in braids. She stared at him. It was the woman in the message, Tiana. Are you Malik? He asked. Yes. Do we know each other? She denied. I'm a friend of Aisha's, or rather, she was his friend. I wrote to you because I think you deserve to know something more. Malik watched her cautiously. What? Tiana looked around, as if making sure no one was listening. She had been dating Kareem for more than 2 months, but that's not all. Kareem is not as bad as he says. He didn't lose his business. He only ran out of money because he plays, Malik. Bets. And he asked Aisha for money. A lot. Malik felt an emptiness in his stomach. Are you sure? Yes. Tiana looked him in the eye. Aisha, the last time she spoke to me, confessed that she had used money from her joint account with you. He said it was temporary. But Kareem never returned anything. Malik felt the air thicken. I knew that Aisha had done painful things, but this was treason on another level. "I'm sorry, Malik," Tiana said with genuine sadness. "I didn't want to get involved, but you needed to know." Back in his car, Malik stood there for a few minutes, his hands on the steering wheel, not starting. Their thoughts collided with each other like cars on a highway. Anger did not dominate him, neither does the pain. It was something stranger, a feeling of brutal clarity. The problem was never me, he thought. That afternoon on his way home, he stopped at a new coffee shop called Oak and Brew. A place with brick walls, plants hanging from the ceiling, and soft music. He was served by a young barista named Leo with a friendly face and a frank smile. "First time here?" he asked, wiping his hands on his apron. "Yes," Malik replied. "What provokes you?" "Something sweet? Something strong? Something different?" Malik smiled for the first time in days. "Surprise me." Leo prepared a thick drink with mild spices and a hint of citrus. "This is called Sunset Latte. Although it may seem soft, it awakens even the dead." Malik took a sip. Warmth, vanilla, walnut, a stroke of cinnamon. It was like inhalar calm. "It's perfect," he said. "And you need perfect," Leo replied with a surprising intuition. Back home, Malik sat on the couch with his cup, and for the first time since the breakup, let a deep sigh come from his chest. The pain was still there, but now it had edges, name, shape. And for the first time, Malik felt that his life no longer revolved around Aisha or betrayal. Now, it revolved around himself. Chapter 6. The Legal Process, the Renaissance. Over the next few days, Malik discovered that life without chaos had an almost addictive quality. The house felt bigger, the lightest air, the least violent silence. The first night after coffee with Leo, Malik decided to rearrange the house. He started with the bedroom. She opened the closet and saw the empty spaces where Aisha's dresses used to be. Instead of feeling sorry, he experienced a strange sensation, possibility. He took out garbage bags, boxes, rags. He removed old memories, cleaned shelves, folded clothes. He played soft music, classic jazz, the one that Aisha hated because she said it made her feel like it was in an old movie. While tidying up, he found a box at the top of the closet. Inside were old letters, concert tickets, anniversary cards. He reviewed them one by one. In all of them, there was a pattern. He giving, she receiving. He's striving to build. She was waiting for him to hold her. The box, which was supposed to contain nostalgia, only contained light. He closed it and took it to the garage unceremoniously. On Tuesday, at work, his supervisor Donna called him into her office. A woman of firm, efficient, respected character, always direct. "Malik," he said as he sat down, "I don't know what you're doing differently, but since last week you're more focused than ever. You closed 3 reports without errors. I haven't seen that for months." Malik shrugged his shoulders with a faint smile. "I've had fewer distractions." Donna nodded knowingly. "Keep it up. We have an important presentation in 2 weeks. You could lead it." He blinked, surprised. "Me?" "Yes." Donna smiled. "You're good. You just needed space." Malik left the office feeling something akin to pride, but not an arrogant pride, but a profound one, a recognition of my own that I had been longing for a long time and did not know. That same afternoon, his phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. It was Aisha. Her voice sounded tired, broken, like a radio with emotional interference. "Malik, can we talk?" He took a deep breath. "Aisha, I'm working. Please." "Just a minute." "No, I'm fine. Things with Kareem are not as I thought. Everything has become complicated. He is not who I thought." "I'm not surprised," Malik replied calmly. "I know I hurt you, I know I failed, but I just want to talk. I just want to explain." "There's nothing to explain." There was a long silence. She sobbed several times. Can we see each other? Malik thought of the empty bags in the closet, of Tiana, of Leo's cafe, of the lawyer, of Mrs. Hayes, of the clean silence of his house. And he said, "No." Aisha breathed tremblingly, completely unarmed. "Why?" he asked in a weak voice. "Because now it's my turn to choose myself." Hung. And he realized that, for the first time, he didn't feel guilty. That night, Malik decided to cook something he hadn't prepared in years, jambalaya in his grandmother's style. The smell of spices filled the house, mingling with the satisfaction of having said no without fear. As he stirred the pot, he remembered a piece of advice from his grandfather. A man who respects himself attracts peace. A man who gets lost attracts storms. That day, he understood the phrase. Aisha was not his storm. She was the consequence of the storm he had tolerated for too long. Before going to sleep, he reviewed the papers of the lawyer he had signed. He looked at them without remorse. Each leaf was a door that closed. Each signature, a new key. The last sentence of the document read, "Definitive dissolution of the marriage bond." Malik read it 3 times, and for some reason he smiled. Not a wide smile, not a smile of joy. It was a smile of relief. A deep, hardened relief that you don't get by winning, but to stop losing. He went to bed late, but for the first time in months, he fell asleep with no chest tensions. The legal process had barely begun, but his personal rebirth, it was already underway. Chapter 7. The First Calls of Repentance. The following week dawned with a sun that seemed too bright, as if it were mocking the inner darkness that Malik still carried. Despite the emotional breakthrough she'd begun to feel, there were still traces of pain, like small splinters buried under her skin. Work became his refuge. The halls of the company, filled with white neon and hurried footsteps, felt like an orderly, predictable world, oblivious to personal chaos. But the calm was short-lived. On Thursday afternoon, as the clock struck 7 and the office began to empty, the screen of the mobile phone lit up with a name that no longer belonged to his present. Aisha. Incoming call. Malik froze. The hum of the air conditioner was louder than ever. The screen flickered like an insistent eye. A part of him wanted to ignore her. The other, "I just needed to close a pending chapter," answered, "Yes?" The first thing he heard was Aisha's trembling breathing. "Malik, please, don't hang up." His voice had a tone he had never heard before. It was not the confident, beautiful, firm voice with which he argued or asked for something. It was the voice of someone who had lost an emotional battle. "Speak," Malik replied, resting a hand on the desk. She stammered, as if the words were too heavy. "Things with Kareem, they are not well." Malik closed his eyes. There it was, the inevitable collapse. "Define me, they're not right, Aisha. She said through tears, "he doesn't want compromises. It's not what I thought. It is not what he promised. No," his voice broke. "It's not like you." Malik felt a small prick in his heart. It wasn't love. It was ego. It was the shadow of its former self. It was the memory of a before. "Aisha," he said calmly, "you chose to leave." He asked me for money, Malik, more than once, and I thought I just needed help. But every time I gave it to him, I wanted more. And when I told him he couldn't go on, he took a deep breath, choking. He's gone, without saying goodbye. No explanations. And now I'm alone. I'm in a horrible state. Regretful? Malik asked with a calmness that surprised even him. There was silence, a silence that weighed tons. "Yes," she whispered, defeated. "I was wrong. Malik, I am sorry. Really, I was wrong about you. With us." The sound of her crying filtered through the loudspeaker. It was a raw cry, without makeup, without manipulation. A cry that revealed the true state of his soul. Malik gritted his teeth. There was a time when that cry would have broken him. There was a time when I would have run to hug her. There was a time when he would have sacrificed his dignity to console her. But that Malik was dead. "Aisha," he said, taking a deep breath, "I can't help you." "Malik, please, I just want to talk to you face to face." "A coffee, 10 minutes. I just want to look you in the eye and—" "No," he interrupted. "Why? Why?" He cried on the verge of despair, because we are no longer a we. The call was silent for 3 seconds that seemed like an endless void. Then she cried even harder. "Malik, don't you love me anymore?" The question was a bombshell, one that Aisha had never worn before. She knew he never played with emotions, and now he used it as a last resort. Malik leaned against the glass wall of the office, looking out at the illuminated city beneath him. Cars moving like little mechanical fireflies, blocks full of life. People walking around not knowing that he was leaving another chapter behind. "No," he replied with painful sincerity. "That part died when you chose someone else." There was a groan of pain on the other end of the line. Aisha was broken, but Malik had also been broken, and the difference was that he had learned to rebuild himself. "Goodbye, Aisha," and he hung up. That night, Malik didn't go straight home. He drove aimlessly down Atlanta's illuminated avenues. He passed through squares full of laughing young people, through bars with vibrant music, through streets where couples walked hand in hand. Eventually, he ended up at an overlook near Jackson Street Bridge, where the city looked like an endless mural of golden lights. He got out of the car. The night wind hit his face with freshness. And there, in front of the skyline, Malik took a deep breath. The chapter is over, finally. Chapter 8, Reclaiming Social Life. On Friday afternoon, Malik received a message from his friend Marcus. "Brother, you have to get out of the cave. Dinner tonight, 8 p.m., no excuses." Marcus was his friend since high school, a tall guy, rough in appearance, but with a heart of gold. He knew how to get Malik out of any emotional pit effortlessly. The restaurant where they met was a soul food place called Sweet Magnolia. Dim light, soft live jazz music, waiters moving to the beat, the dark wood, the walls adorned with photos of iconic black artists. A place that breathed history. Malik arrived in a suit, straight from work. Marcus, on the other hand, was in a leather jacket and jeans, smiling confidently. "There's the man of the moment," Marcus joked, rising to give him a hug. Malik smiled for the first time in days. They sat down at a table by the window. The waiter, a young man with a perfectly trimmed beard, brought them water and menus. "Then," Marcus began, letting out a theatrical sigh, "did he leave you for that useless Kareem?" Malik looked at him with a mixture of laughter and resignation. "Yes, that is what he did." "Brother, that guy can't even afford his own AirPods without financing," Marcus scoffed. "How the hell did he let himself be fooled?" "Because it made her feel needed," Malik said. Marcus leaned forward. "You made her feel safe." And some people confuse stability with boredom. Malik was left thinking about that. "He took it all from me, Marcus. All. Every extra minute of work was for us. But it seems that what she wanted was not a partner, but a project." "Then it never deserved you," Marcus replied without hesitation. "You are not a project. You are a grown man. If she wants to rehabilitate bums, she should go to a shelter and volunteer." Malik laughed, a real laugh, a laugh that had been trapped for weeks. The food arrived. Mac and cheese, fried chicken, green beans, warm cornbread. The taste reminded him of his mother's kitchen, Sunday nights filled with laughter and Al Green songs in the background. They talked about life, about future plans, about a local basketball tournament that Marcus insisted on signing him up for. Malik realized something unexpected. He had missed being with friends. He hadn't realized how far away he had gone from his life to please Aisha's. 30 minutes had passed when Marcus leaned back in his chair and stared at him. "Brother, you are liberated. You know it? Something like that, Malik replied. No, listen to me, Marcus pointed with his finger. You are liberated. Do you know how many men I know who would kill to start from scratch without drama, without children, without lawsuits, without debt? You have a second chance. Don't waste it. Malik looked down. His hands were playing with the glass of water. I feel, he said. I feel like for the first time in years, I'm breathing. Marcus smiled, and that's just the beginning. When they left the restaurant, the night air greeted them warm, softly. The streetlights seemed brighter than normal, as if the entire city was celebrating the fact that Malik was getting his life back. They were walking to the parking lot when a female voice called, "Malik?" They both turned. A young woman with dark skin and a sweet face was watching them from the entrance of the restaurant. She was wearing an embroidered dress and a black jacket. "I'm Kayla," she said with a small smile, "working with Donna, your boss. I saw you today in the office. He told me you were going through stuff. I just wanted to tell you that if you need to talk to someone who isn't your sarcastic friend..." He looked at Marcus humorously. "Here I am." Marcus muttered, "Well, well, well." Malik was puzzled, but flattered. "Thank you, seriously." Kayla gave him a warm, sincere smile. Then she waved goodbye with a gentle gesture and walked toward a waiting Uber. Marcus looked at him as if he had just witnessed a miracle. "Brother, life is winking at you." Malik did not deny it. For the first time, he felt something like hope. That night when he got home, he didn't feel empty. He didn't feel homesick. He felt a new tingle, as if something better is waiting for him right behind the door of the future. Chapter 9, Life Without Her, a routine of peace and growth. The following Monday, Malik woke up before dawn, not because of anxiety, but because of a new, vibrant energy. The house was dark bluish, as if suspended between night and day. He made coffee and sat in the living room, watching the light slowly filter through the windows. Silence was no longer his enemy. He was his ally, a new routine. That week, Malik established a routine that he had never allowed himself before. He got up early. He went to the gym. He ate breakfast quietly. He meditated for 10 minutes. He came to work not as a tired man, but as a sharp one. Donna noticed the difference instantly. "Who are you and what did you do with Malik?" he joked. In the company, Malik was a machine. Clear ideas, accurate results, zero distractions. Kayla, the girl at the restaurant, greeted him every morning with a soft smile, and Malik could tell that she was always waiting for his greeting. Silence at home. Peace. The nights were even better. For the first time in years, Malik discovered what it was like to come home and feel like home was a refuge, not a liability. He cooked what he wanted. He watched the series he liked. He read books that he had forgotten. He played video games without guilt. He organized his house as he wanted. The house ceased to be an emotional battlefield. It became a temple. An unexpected visit. But on Thursday night, when he was preparing grilled salmon, he heard a knock on the door. A soft one, doubtful, almost shy. Opened. And he saw Mrs. Hayes, the neighbor. Her red handkerchief glittered under the lantern outside. "Son, forgive me for bothering so late, but I needed to tell you something." Malik invited her in. The woman looked at the house, clean, organized, aromatic. "That's what a house where there's no storm should look like," he said with a wise smile. Then he sat down and lowered his tone. "Aisha stopped by here today. He asked me about you. Was not good. Too bad. It's not my place to say what should happen, but what I see, you're growing. She's sinking. Don't let its fall drag you down." Malik listened to her in silence. The words were simple, but they hit hard. "Thank you, Mrs. Hayes." She held his hand as a grandmother would do. Noble hearts always want to rescue, but listen carefully. Not all castaways want to learn to swim. Some are just looking for a lifeline to cling to while they continue to sink ships. And with that, he left. The birth of royal peace that night, Malik sat in the dark, alone with the soft glow of the living room lamp. He thought of Aisha, Kareem, of himself, in the life I had been building from scratch. And suddenly he understood something powerful. He no longer lived according to what he lost. He lived according to what he was earning. Silence was no longer an absence. It was a beginning. The heart was no longer broken. It was healing. And under the scar was new, stronger skin. Malik turned off the light. He lay down, and he fell asleep with such a deep tranquility, which seemed the first true one in his entire adult life. Chapter 10. The crumbling of her dawn on Monday blanketed Atlanta in a pale blue hue. Malik drove to work as the city slowly woke up. Buses pulling off, cafes raising blinds, people jogging with headphones in their ears. It was a Monday like any other, until his phone began to vibrate insistently. First a call, then another, then consecutive messages. Aisha. Please answer. Aisha. It's urgent. Aisha. I don't know what to do. Aisha. Malik, please. Malik left the phone face down in the passenger seat. He took a deep breath. He wasn't going to start his week by going back to the past, but fate had other plans. A call that changes the air. In the middle of the morning, while working on a presentation, his mobile vibrated again. Malik looked at him annoyed until he saw something different. Unknown number, South Atlanta area code. Answered. Yes? A male voice, rough, as if he had lived too many days in the sun, spoke on the other end. This is Malik Johnson? Yes, who's talking? My name is Terry. I work with Kareem. The girl who lived with you gave me this number. Malik felt a lump in his throat. What do you need to talk about? Terry sighed heavily. Look, I don't want to get into trouble, but she called me this morning crying, asking if what Kareem told her was true. Malik clenched his jaw. What truth? He told her he was ruined, that he had lost everything, that his ex-wife took everything he had, that they seized it, and that the only person in the world he could turn to was her. Malik closed his eyes. The script fit too well. And? Terry let out a bitter laugh. We all know that Kareem is a liar. The store is doing well. The man has a new car and a huge TV in his apartment. He didn't lose anything, Malik. I just needed easy money, and he found someone willing to give it to him. Malik fell silent. The world seemed to be compressed into a single point. Thank you for telling me, he said finally. Terry cleared his throat. I'm sorry, man. She believed it all. He thought he was rescuing a poor broken man, but it only fed him. The call ended, a spiral to which he no longer belongs. That afternoon, just after work, the phone rang again. Aisha. Malik hesitated for only a second before answering. What do you want? Aisha's voice sounded choked, as if she were speaking from underwater. Malik. He left me. Kareem left me. He took all the money I lent him, and the one that, he sobbed, the one I took from our account. Malik stopped short next to his car. The wind blew, cold, sudden. Did you take money from the joint account? He asked, now with a sharp edge in his voice. Just a little, he lied, and Malik knew it instantly. I thought he was going to return it. How much, Aisha? Silence. How much? He repeated firmly. 10,000, he said at last, his voice breaking. I thought it was temporary. Malik rested a hand on the hood of the car. He took a deep breath. He counted to 5, then up to 10. Where are you? He asked. In a motel, she said between sobs. A cheap one, close to Highway 7. I have nowhere to go, Malik. I don't have anyone. My family is tired of me. My friends, too. I'm alone. I'm sorry, he said. Aisha swallowed. Can I come to your house? Only until I find something. just a few days. I beg you, Malik." He closed his eyes. He recalled the months of neglect, the lies, the afternoons when she was late without explanation, the escapades in the gray car, deleted messages, the confession without real tears, the courage with which he left, all that courage that had now turned into fear. Half a minute of silence. She was hoping for a miracle, but what he received was a sentence. "No," Malik said. Aisha began to cry harder. "Why? What does it cost you? I just want to sleep in a safe place. I just need time, please." Malik squeezed the steering wheel. "You are not my responsibility," she screamed, a cry that was not of pain but of falling. "Just a damn mistake, Malik." "One. I made a mistake. I'm human," he replied with the most brutal calm in the world. "No, Aisha, you made a chain of decisions. I'm just dealing with its consequences." Silence, sobs, shortness of breath. "Goodbye," he said, and cut off. But what she didn't know was that fate hadn't ended with her, not even with him. Aisha still had a lot to lose, and Malik had a lot to gain. Chapter 11. Ella's final sinking. 2 weeks have passed since that heartbreaking call. Malik moved forward with a determination that he did not recognize himself. The house was clean, her mind too. Her routine, for the first time in years, flowed without interruption. But life always takes on curious ways of reminding you of your past, a warning from the outside world. On Friday evening, as Malik was watering the plants in the driveway, an old faded car pulled up in front of his house. A familiar figure emerged from the passenger seat, Aisha's sister, Ashley. Ashley, always arrogant, always judgmental, always convinced that she knew the world better than anyone else. But that afternoon, she seemed small, broken, wet with tears. "Malik," he said, looking down, "we can talk." Malik folded his arms. 5 minutes. Ashley took a deep breath, as if she were going to immerse herself in ice water. "Aisha is in a bad way, too bad. He is working double shifts in a diner. He barely eats. You've lost weight. He doesn't even have money for medicines. You can't afford the rent for the motel room. He's sleeping in his car when it is not towed." Malik gritted his teeth. She chose that path. "I was vulnerable," Ashley exploded. "You made a mistake, Malik. Have you never made one?" "Yes," he replied firmly, "and I corrected it. Aisha does not." She kept digging. Ashley swallowed hard and lowered her tone. "You loved her. I know. I've known you for years. You really loved her. You can't abandon it like that." Malik pointed to the street. "I didn't abandon her. She abandoned me. With suitcases, with lies, and with a man who stole even her thoughts." Ashley was silent. "But don't you think he deserves something? An opportunity? A roof for a few days?" Malik took a deep breath. "It deserves to learn." The sister looked at him painfully, as if Malik were a wall that refused to yield. "You've changed," he whispered. "Yes," he answered, "to survive." Ashley turned and returned to the car. Before he went up, Malik saw something. Aisha, sitting in the back seat, thinner, matted hair, deep dark circles, broken look. She saw it, shuddered, and he looked down in embarrassment. Malik felt a strange lump in his throat. It wasn't love, it was compassion. But compassion is not an obligation. The car started and disappeared down the street. Malik stood there in the evening light, wondering if he had acted like a righteous man or as a hard one. But deep down, he knew the truth. It was the only way he would never lose himself again. An unexpected ally later that night, while Malik was eating dinner, he received a message. It was Tiana's. "She needs professional help, Malik. Not your emotional help, not your house. Real help." Malik replied, "I know." Tiana: "Kareem left her emotionally devastated, but that doesn't justify what he did to you. Alone. Don't let them manipulate you." Malik: "I won't." Tiana: "Good. Because she doesn't need a savior. It needs to hit rock bottom and rebuild itself. Malik put the phone down on the table and breathed. It was hard to hear those words, but they were true. That night, Malik slept soundly, not because I was insensitive, but because, for the first time in a long time, he was placing his well-being above that of someone who didn't take care of him. Chapter 12. The symbolic moment, the new car. On Saturday morning, Malik woke up with a different feeling. Light, luminous. It was as if each lung was breathing separately, as if every cell in his body was vibrating with new energy. I had been postponing something for weeks, something I felt I wasn't ready to do, something symbolic, return to the dealership. The journey that closes a cycle. Before leaving, Malik stopped by Oak and Brew. Leo, the barista, greeted him with his eternal smile. "My man Malik, the usual?" "Not today," Malik replied with a mysterious calm. "Today I want something new." Leo raised his eyebrows. "New? So, brother, you're entering sacred territory. This is a Phoenix brew, strong, sweet, but hot, reborn with you." Malik smiled for the first time since waking up. Perfect. He grabbed his coffee and headed to the Tesla dealership, the Rebirth. The salesman recognized him immediately. "Mr. Johnson! Everything is fine? Canceled the order weeks ago." Malik nodded. "I'm ready for one. But for me." The salesman led him through the shiny cars under white lights, silver, black, pearlescent models. Malik walked slowly, touching the body with his fingers, as if he could absorb its meaning. Finally, he saw it. A Tesla Model S Midnight Blue, dark, elegant, quiet, powerful. A machine that didn't make a sound, but it commanded respect. Malik climbed in. The seat enveloped him like a hug he had never received before. The salesman spoke to him from outside. "That's one of the best, the color of someone who knows what he wants." Malik breathed in the smell of a new car. He closed his eyes, and he said, "I want it." The salesman smiled. "For you? For me." He signed the papers. He paid the deposit. And when he drove out that car for the first time, he felt that every meter traveled took him one more step away from the pain. That car was not a luxury. He was a symbol of freedom, of autonomy, of being reborn. The meeting at the entrance. When he got home, Malik parked the new car and looked at it for a few more seconds. It seemed like a portal to a different life. He took the garden hose and began to wash the shiny surface, as if it were a ritual. The water slid in perfect lines over the blue metal. The reflection of the sun created sparkles like diamonds. It was a peaceful moment, intimate, a symbolic act of purification. Until he heard a sudden break behind him. He turned around. An old car, a battered sedan, was parked crookedly in front of his house. On the passenger side came Ashley, again, and from the back seat, Aisha. But this time, it wasn't just sadness that she brought with her. It was defeat, total, absolute. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair messy, his eyes swollen. It looked like he had aged 10 years in 2 months. Ashley walked toward him determinedly. "Malik, we need to talk." He continued to dry his car. "No, we don't have any." "Please," Ashley said. "It's important." Malik looked at her coldly. "Speak." Ashley took a deep breath. We want to discuss a possibility of reconciliation. She understands everything. She knows what she lost. She is willing to do therapy, to work on the relationship. Even," he tried not to swallow poison, "we have a couple of ideas so that you can reorganize your lives." Malik was petrified. "Ideas?" She nodded. "Options, agreements, ways to start over." He then moved to the side, revealing the man getting out on the driver's side. A lawyer in a suit, briefcase, and a business expression. A lawyer, to convince him to return to Aisha. Malik laughed. He couldn't help it. A brief, incredulous, almost mocking laugh. "Are they talking to me seriously?" he asked. Ashley nodded. The lawyer held out his hand. "Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. I'm Mark Fuller. I represent his ex-wife in her desire for reconciliation and restoration of the marriage bond. She seeks—" Malik raised his hand. "Detengus, no, I want to listen to a damn legal monologue. I'm just going to say one thing." He approached the car. He touched the bodywork. He caressed her, and he said, "This one." This was the car I was going to give her, the day he confessed to me that he was leaving with someone else. The world stopped. Aisha looked up, her eyes filled with tears, not because of the car, but because of what it represented. But now, Malik took the keys and swirled them in the air. Now it's mine. A better car, a better life, a better way. He looked directly at Aisha. "I'm sorry, but you're not invited to any of the three." Aisha stepped forward. His voice was a thread. Where am I going to go, Malik?" He held her gaze and responded with the most brutal phrase, the most honest, the one she needed to hit rock bottom. "Wherever your decisions take you." She collapsed in tears. Ashley hugged her. The lawyer closed his briefcase, and Malik, without wasting a second, pointed towards his house. "Get out, all three, and don't come back again." When the old car left, Malik went back to his hose, into the water, to his peace, as if nothing had happened. He washed his car for 15 more minutes. Every drop that fell was a definitive farewell. Each reflection of the sun was a new beginning. Each rag wrung out was a symbol of emotional cleansing. And when it was over, he took a deep breath. For the first time in a long time. I didn't feel like something was ending. I felt that something was beginning. Chapter 13. The Echo of the Past and the First Temptation. The next morning dawned with an overcast sky, as if the world were preparing a silent storm. Malik, however, was strangely calm. The scene of the previous day, Aisha, her sister, and the lawyer trying to negotiate her return, had not left him disturbed. If anything, it had freed him even more. He dressed in a navy blue shirt, beige pants, and looked at himself in the mirror carefully. The man in front of her was not the same one who trembled when Aisha raised her voice during discussions. He was not the man who walked as if he carried 200 kilos of other people's responsibilities on his shoulders. It was another, more solid, more defined, more self-possessed, a cafe that changes directions. He decided to spend the morning at Oak and Brew. It was the first smooth Saturday in a long time. As he entered, the aroma of freshly ground coffee enveloped him like a warm blanket. The place was almost full. Students typing on laptops, couples talking, a group of old people playing dominoes. Life went on as if nothing had happened. Leo, the barista, saw it and raised his arm. "The Revenant is back," he joked. Malik laughed softly. "Dame Otro Phoenix Brew." "Another?" Leo narrowed his eyes. "Brother, if you take 2 Phoenix in a row, you're going to start having visions." "Maybe I need them," Malik replied calmly. While waiting for his order, he didn't notice that someone was watching him from a table in the corner. A woman, dark skin like onyx, short, curly, elegantly cut hair, a green dress that highlighted her figure, and attentive eyes that seemed to see inside people, not just outside. When Malik finally walked to an empty table, the woman slowly got up and walked over. "Excuse me," she said in a soft but firm voice. "I know you, right?" Malik raised his vista. Parpadio. Ella recognized instantly. Naomi Carter. They had gone to the same school together. She was a year older, always bright, always serene, always surrounded by books or some artistic project. It took Malik a second to process. "Naomi Carter, no?" She smiled. "Wow, I didn't think you'd remember me." "Of course I do. You were the best artist in school. You won the State Illustration Award." She laughed with a mixture of nostalgia and surprise. "That was centuries ago." Malik pointed to the chair. "Do you want to sit down?" "Only if I don't interrupt anything," she replied, casting a subtle glance on him. "You don't interrupt anything," Malik said sincerely. She sat down. Leo brought them coffee with a knowing smile. "And what do you do now?" Malik asked. "I'm a creative director at a digital art magazine," she replied. "But I'm thinking of launching my own studio. And you?" "Technology consultant. And recently learning to live alone," he admitted honestly. Naomi tilted her head, watching the choice of words. "Does that mean you got out of a difficult relationship?" Malik did not lie. "Very," she sighed. "Ah, that explains the way you look at the world today." "How do I look at it?" he asked. Naomi looked at him deeply. He studied it, as if he were analyzing invisible colors, like someone who lost something big but who doesn't want to lose himself again. Malik did not answer. She had hit the nail on the head without trying. "Let me guess," Naomi continued. She wanted to return when it was too late. Malik stared into the coffee. "Every day seems later than the last." Naomi rested a soft hand on the table, close to hers, without touching him. "I understand you," he said. "Sometimes life takes things away from you, not to punish you, but to make room for what you really deserve." There was a silence, a pleasant silence, a silence that somehow filled more than words. "Would you like to dinner someday?" Naomi asked with a shy, spontaneous smile. Malik looked at her and felt something different. Not anxiety, not fear, not in a hurry. Alone, curiosity. "Yes," he answered. "I'd like to." Naomi smiled so brightly that the weather seemed to change. They exchanged phones. She hugged him briefly before leaving. A warm, soft, elegant hug. One that lasted just long enough to make you feel like not all closures hurt. Some also open windows. Malik stood there, staring at the door through which she had left. A thought crossed his mind forcefully. Maybe, for the first time, the future is not scary, but the past was not willing to disappear without a fight. Chapter 14, The Closing Circle. 3 months had passed since that rainy night when Aisha appeared trembling at Malik's doorstep. Since then, life had taken such a different course that even he, accustomed to analyzing data and patterns, would have had a hard time predicting it. Atlanta was entering spring. The trees in the neighborhood were finally regaining their bright green color. The birds filled the dawns with a timid song, and the air smelled of renewal, of open doors, of new pages. Malik was walking through the Central Park with Naomi holding his arm. They had made those walks a tradition. Long conversations, loose laughter, shared silences. What surprised him most was the total absence of tension. With Naomi, nothing was forced. Nothing was an obligation. Nothing was a burden. She let him be himself, without expectations that suffocated him or demands that broke him. "Do you see?" Naomi said as she watched a couple of children play with kites. "Everything changes. Even what we thought defined us forever." Malik smiled. "I guess I'm changing with it." "You're doing great," she said, resting her head on his shoulder. And it was true. His company had begun to recognize his potential. He had received an offer of leadership. The confidence that he had lacked before had now been transformed into strength. His house no longer felt empty. It felt spacious, not abandoned, but full of possibilities. The blue midnight car gleaming in the sun was waiting for him as a reminder of all that had survived. And most importantly, Malik was no longer looking back, the definitive closure. One afternoon, he received an envelope that he immediately recognized: the family court. Aisha had signed the final papers. The divorce was effective. Malik took a deep breath as he read the document. No tremors, no lump in the throat, no shadow of doubt. Alone. Peace. The Malik of the past would have cried, collapsed, or relived every wound. The Malik of today closed the envelope and put it in a drawer without drama, without remorse, because in his life there was no longer room for ghosts. The last meeting. A week later, as he was leaving a supermarket, he saw Aisha in the distance. I hadn't seen him. He wore a work uniform, a small bag, and walked with slow but firm steps. It no longer seemed destroyed, seemed human. Rhoda, yes, but trying to rebuild itself. Malik felt something strange. No love, no pain, no resentment, compassion, nothing more. And in a symbolic act, he decided not to approach. Do not interfere. Do not open any doors. That story was already over, the future in first person. That night, he and Naomi had dinner at home. Pasta, wine, laughter. She put on soft music. He served an impromptu dessert that almost burned, and which they both celebrated equally. "Malik," Naomi said, taking his hand, "I want you to know something." He looked at her, curious. "You're not what they made you," she said, stroking the back of his hand. "You are just what you chose to be afterwards." Malik was silent for a moment, and with a sincere smile, he answered, "Then I choose to be better. I choose to move forward. I choose to be here, with you." Naomi smiled, that smile that had given him back the desire to look forward. They hugged, no words needed. The wind outside brushed the windows gently. The city breathed easy. The past at last was left behind. And so, with a renewed heart and a future open as a cloudless sky, Malik closed that chapter of his life, knowing that not all wounds hurt forever. Some simply teach. The end. Final message to the audience. Thank you truly for having made it to the end of this story. Thank you for your fidelity, for listening, for accompanying each chapter. If you like this story, full of emotion, betrayal, overcoming, and rebirth, comment from which country or city you are watching us. Also tell me what time it is right now where you are, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything that is coming. Your support is what makes it possible for us to continue creating stories like this. Thank you, and thank you. See you in the next one.